wait a minute, hang on, second thought. It does take them about twice as long to do the same amount of work if they're working for the government, so that may be a moot point. Why are we having people work for the government? Why are we paying people this much money? You're paying it. It's your salary. It's coming out of your children's college education. Do you know if we would stop paying people, if we would just pay what they would pay on the outside world, we just pay everybody this, we would save, you ready? $44.5 billion. If we made their benefits the same as ours, that would be another $60 billion. Do the math. Just by evening the playing field, $104.5 billion. Wow. You know, when I look at this is the private sector, and this is the government. That seems to be windfall profits. Doesn't it sound kind of like that? Do you want to confiscate those? Anybody in Washington? Do you know how many? I mean, this is just so great. I'm going to really relish this and enjoy the next minute or so. Do you know how many hungry children we could feed with $104.5 billion? These fat cats in Washington? Sally Struthers told me for the price of a cup of coffee per day, I could save a child. That's about $50 a month or $600 a year if these greedy federal employees would just agree to give up their windfall profits. We could feed 174 million children. Why do the federal employees want hundreds of millions of children to starve to death? Why? You don't like it when it's played back on you. And it's so easy to play it back on you. Barack Obama also took over the student loan industry because of that greedy middleman. Had the gall, the banks had the gall to take $68 billion in profits for services rendered. So why wouldn't he be appalled at the windfall profits of $104 billion of federal employees? You know what I like to do? I'd like to tie their salaries to your salary. If your salary goes up in the private sector, their salary goes up. They don't vote for it. It's tied right to the average salary of Americans. Why would that be a bad idea? This brings me now to education. The other thing that was jammed into the bill that Americans didn't know about is how the government is controlling all of the student loans. Coincidentally, they're also creating more and more incentives in way to have those loans forgiven. For instance, like doing service and working for the government. Wow. I mean, look at the perks. Here's the private sector. Here's working for the government. Look at the salary. This is you. This is a congressman. This is the average. And now what they're going to do? Now they're actually going to make it more lucrative. At what point do we stop calling it service to work for the government? It doesn't seem like much of a sacrifice. The only ones that's sacrificing are the taxpayers. What we're doing is we're paying people this plus their college education if they come and take this money. What do you say we stop and turn the car around and go in the opposite direction? Right now, liberal bloggers are in their basement, well, their mom's basements, and they're typing away, Glenn Beck doesn't want to educate children. Yes, yes, yes. Here's the thing. I do want to educate children, but dumping billions of dollars at schools that are failing isn't the way to do it. Look at these numbers. 1965, it was not even the Department of Education, it was the Department of the Interior, and we were spending $12 billion. Today, the Department of Ed, $103 billion. Look at this chart. Look at this. 1965, and then progressives and the Great Society. Whoa! What happened here? How's that strategy working out for you? Ready for this? Between 1973 and 2008, the test scores. I don't do math very well, but I think if I carry the one, math scores, 2 points. Reading scores, they put the blanks here because I don't know what this word means. 1. Yeah, 1. See this? If this was an EKG of your heart, which it kind of is, education, the heart of our country, we're dead. Money doesn't do it. Money never does it. Money corrupts. How do you fix education? Well, first of all, we start to fix our families. James Madison's mother taught him to read and write. John Quincy Adams was homeschooled until the age of 9. You think these guys? What about this guy? Abraham Lincoln. He was homeschooled. His mother taught him to read. His mother, from borrowed books. The story goes that Thomas Edison, his teachers thought he was feeble-minded, unteachable. He was kicked out of school. Mom taught Edison, you know, the light bulb guy, how to do it at home. Good Will Hunting, for the love of Pete. He got his education for $2 at the public library. I saw the movie. And yet this society scoffs at those who are self-educated. Put the picture of my grandfather up here. Here's my grandfather. 4th grade education. The guy helped make the moon rover. When did we say self-education was a bad thing? When did we stop pushing ourselves to learn? You know, when my daughter Mary was in I think it was the 2nd grade, I asked the teacher I was stupid. I asked her for a syllabus. Teacher looked at me and she said, this is the 2nd grade. I said, I know, but I mean, can I get some of the books, you guys? I want to be able to read them at home with her and yada, yada. The teacher actually said to me, Mr. Beck. And I said, Mrs. Hoffelmeyer-Bergowitz-Steen. Teaching, she said to me, is my job. I said, really? See, this is the way I look at it. This is my child. Teaching my child is my job. You are my assistant. That's the only kind of government assistance I want. I need your help. But that's all I need. This is my job. Unfortunately, many also try in the educational system to help my kid, you know, learn about sex and then help them, you know, cross state lines and get abortions while indoctrinating them about the evil of the free market system. And then maybe on the way home they can stop by a Marxist meeting. What do you say? Fill out the communist cards. It makes no sense to teach the way we've been teaching over the last 100 years, especially since the technology that we have. Our founders and many others proved that you don't need money to get a great education. You need a desire. You need a good book. We need to get control of our schools back to the parents, back to the states. The best way to do this is to abolish the Department of Education. We certainly don't need to be giving them more money. The federal government should only be responsible for the things that the states cannot do. You want the State Department, you need the State Department. That's fine, got it. Department of Education? No, I think as a state we can cover that one, but thank you very much. Let me show you how out of control our government is and how out of control our thinking has become. Doing the 2 things that I've just said. Taking the people off the dole, getting them and giving them a disincentive for working for the federal government, and completely eliminating the Department of Education. You ready? How much is that going to save? We've eliminated the Department of Education and we've cut everybody's salaries. Okay? We would save it's billion, right? $200 billion. $200 billion. That's about a quarter of the stimulus bill. That's how massive all the things that we've been doing is. A quarter. We got a long way to go, gang. All right, so let's just say that we cut the Department of Education. Now what? Well, let's look at ways we can improve schools and save money. Freakonomics author Stephen Dubner is here. He's been looking at alternatives for the government. You know, what can we do besides government-controlled education? We go there next.